there, Veronica Jones at the Life Coaching Co here, and today I've got a special guest with me, Rob Millard. He's a senior associate and a family law accredited specialist, and he happens to be one of my terrific clients. So Rob, so great to see you today.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. It's raining here, but nothing new, I suppose.
That's right, because you're based in Sydney, right?
That's it, and it's a wet summer.
Yeah.
So it's a little disappointing, but what can you do?
Not a lot. All right, Rob, well, I think we'll just get cracking. We'll get straight into it because I know that our viewers and listeners are sort of dying to hear your story. So I'm going to hand over to you at this point, and I'd just love to kind of know, if you can just tell us about your journey, how did you get into this journey of coaching?
Yeah, I suppose the journey starts probably 12 years ago almost, really, when finishing high school and figuring out what to do at university and getting into studying law and studying journalism, which I did at Bond Uni on the Gold Coast. And when I started studying law, I didn't know whether I wanted to practice in law, but as I was exposed to different subjects, and in particular family law, I realized, this is something that I can absolutely get into and excel in, hopefully. And so I finished my studies. I lived overseas for a year in Hawaii, which was a wonderful experience and exposure to lots of different people and personalities, before coming back to Sydney, laying down some roots and kind of finding a law job. I started in property law for about a year, and then since 2016, I've been practicing in family law. And then last year, I managed to get my specialist accreditation in family law, which was a great achievement for me. And so then that got me really thinking, okay, well, what's next? Like, how do I take this to the next level, basically? And so I was sort of thinking about getting some personal branding happening and finding some other strategies to just, improve my career. And then we connected on LinkedIn, and I suppose the rest is history from there in terms of getting stuck into the coaching.
That's it, absolutely. The rest is history. Okay, so you decided that this personal branding thing was something you want to do. So that was the impetus, right? So what was it that had maybe held you back a little bit in terms of just getting going on that front?
Yeah, that's a good question, because it seems like a natural next step to just, dive in and do it. But I think for me, I had this sort of almost a fear of it not being successful, a little bit of uncertainty about what does it look like. It's got to be perfect from the get-go. And I think not really sort of spending the time thinking about that had sort of really held me back from starting it all together. And I guess as well, just in the context of like my working life, I was just so busy, and I used that as the excuse of like, I don't need to because I'm, getting things done anyway in my work life. So, it can go on the back burner.
Right. Okay. So you're this like uber successful family lawyer, you worked your way up in the career, look where you are right now. So if we think about that, then what made you sort of think to yourself, you know what, I think now's the time that maybe I'll reach out and I'll get some help?
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that. First of all, I appreciate that. I think it's a situation where basically in my career, I was just sort of day in, day out, getting things done and just doing life in that way. But in all areas of life, I think you don't go out and become successful straight away. So in my career, I needed a mentor in terms of how to be a good lawyer and the skills that I needed to really have to succeed as a lawyer. And same with like sports, generally you need a good coach to make sure that you're, better at your sport and you've got all your skills down pat. So I think it was just the natural progression of that I'm not an expert in sort of personal branding type things or trying to refocus how, your career trajectory is going. So that's why I thought, coaching, now's the time, and something that I can really sink my teeth into to try and, see some improvements in my life.
Yeah, well, you know what, kudos to you for doing that as well. Like, well done. Because I think a lot of people can find it easy, myself included, at times just to sort of coast along. And you sometimes need that little bit of impetus within yourself that says, you know what, drawing the line in the sand now, and here we go. So kudos to you for that. And tell me, and I hope this isn't too much of a personal question, but how did your partner feel, you taking on and deciding to get involved with this journey of life coaching?
Yeah, I was lucky because my partner's already sort of done his own coaching experience. Um, Through his work, they were able to allocate some resource to him to have some coaching on a sort of monthly basis in terms of his managerial skills and that kind of thing. So luckily, it wasn't sort of a foreign concept, I guess. It soon transpired that sort of the brand of coaching that we were both sort of involved in is slightly different. But luckily, yeah, he was in my corner about, really that whole self-improvement and an investment in myself. So, it was good to have that sort of immediate support.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. That's wonderful to hear. Well, you can go after this, go give him a hug from me by supporting you on that journey. And so tell me, what was the process of coaching like for you? What were the sort of changes that you saw in yourself?
Yeah, I think from the beginning it was a little bit challenging because you've got to start asking yourself some big questions that you may not have asked yourself before. And I found that a bit confronting at times, but in a good way, because it's, the sorts of things that are important, that matter to you at the end of the day. And so that was the beginning feeling, I suppose. And then from there, just sort of all of this layering of sort of different skills and different reflections that sort of built up, where I am now, I guess.
Yeah, very, very interesting. And in terms of the challenge you mentioned, so what sort of shift did you kind of feel in yourself? As in what did you maybe start assessing outside of yourself, inside of yourself, and changing?
Yeah, I guess there was a lot of sort of, prioritizing for myself that I was really focusing on. So trying to carve out time for me to be able to schedule things that were important to, do my personal branding things, on Instagram and LinkedIn, that sort of thing. Carving out time to be focusing on things that I want to do in terms of, I was focused on trying to, have a healthy lifestyle, go to the gym more, that kind of thing. So it was really kind of just securing that time. And then in the process is kind of setting up other boundaries, and boundaries with friends, boundaries with family, but they're really boundaries for yourself, to be able to prioritize yourself. And I think that was sort of the big thing. And in part of that process, part of me felt, oh, am I being selfish because this isn't what I was used to doing? I was always saying yes to everything. But then, as you kind of go through the process, you think, no, this is about prioritizing me so I can be better for everyone anyway. So it kind of worked in reverse almost. So that was the big change, is just that focus and that prioritization.
Yeah, fantastic. And so you're going through this program, you're seeing these changes. Tell me, what have you started to see maybe in terms of the goals that you were heading towards, like with that improvement in the personal branding and those financial targets that you were looking at work?
Yeah, I guess the first thing was actually trying to get my Instagram off the ground, right? So part of the coaching that we did, was all about setting some action items to see that happen, which is probably one of the best things that I've sort of got out of the coaching experience. And so, just actually making posts on Instagram, immediately there's, followers that I've gained. There's other sort of lawyers and professionals in the family law space and divorce space that I've been able to connect with as well. So that's been a nice thing. And then also posting on LinkedIn, that, again, is that engagement with other professionals that's really useful, and having those connections. And I, in fact, got a client through LinkedIn, which is quite, a good thing. That shows that it works, I guess. And so all those things sort of combined, that was just me building, basically.
Yeah, amazing. And the thing is, Robert, again, kudos to you, because you took action on these things. And, so often in coaching, when we were speaking, and I speak to other clients as well, you've got to act. Action changes things. And that's what you were doing all the time. You really stepped up to the plate. and you went all in every time we were coaching, and you took action. So, well done to you for doing that. So I was thinking about your coaching program, and I thought to myself, what was maybe one of the most powerful moments that you experienced when you were coaching?
Yeah, I think Oprah calls them aha moments. And I had a few of them with you. And I think the biggest one for me was basically realizing that I already have what it takes to achieve my goals and to achieve success and to, do all the things that I want to do. I've already got the capability. Sometimes it just requires a bit of guidance or a bit of, more thought. But knowing that and having that in me was just a good realization. So, filled me with a lot of pride and confidence to know that I've got those skills, and there's nothing really that's actually holding me back.
That's amazing, and I love that you found that within yourself as we were coaching it. It's so good. And so now you've come out on the other side of this. You've gone through the journey. What would you say? I guess you feel you've achieved at the end of the day, having done this coaching. What would you say?
Yeah, I suppose I've definitely achieved, some improvements with my personal branding. Like that's no brainer for me that's in place. That's starting to be a lot more consistent. So that's really good. But also just being able to have that priority of me. So I'm able to utilize intention setting time. I'm able to sort of focus on my goals. And I think it's just that changed attitude that's about, making sure that I'm looking after me as part of the whole process.
Yeah, amazing. And do you like who you've become in the process?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm terribly different necessarily, but I've certainly, as I said before, I'm filled with a lot more pride and confidence in who I am. And, that's a great thing for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. And what would you say to others who are tuning in right now and are thinking about coaching? What would you say to them if they're considering coaching at the moment?
Yeah, I think you just need to dive in, right? And it's easy for me to say that because I've done it, right? So I think really it's almost like a mini coaching session for yourself, asking yourself the question, why don't I want to do this? Like, what's holding me back? Is it this fear? Is it this element of, it's going to be a waste of time, or I'm not going to see any improvement, or just the fear of the unknown? And I think if you sit with that feeling for a little bit inside of yourself and then, acknowledge it and then process it, I think a lot of people will find that when they reflect on it, in reality, the coaching is an investment in themselves. So I think that that's something to just really think about, is that it's about, improving yourself to be better for others around you. And what have you got to lose?
That's it. Everything to gain. Absolutely everything to gain. Life is never the same. Once you get taught these mindset techniques and you start applying them in the life, it's a game changer, isn't it?
I think so. And like I said at the beginning, I was just sort of doing life, and you do your run-of-the-mill day-to-day routine, and you're almost doing your Monday to Friday, can't wait for the weekend, and then next minute a year's gone by. So I think by engaging in coaching, you can really sort of utilize your time and focus on your goals and really break them down to achieve so much more in the space of a week, a month, a year.
Yeah, amazing. Now, Rob, I'm sure now you've already just our community is loving on you. You've probably already just now attracted yourself, I don't know how many hundreds or thousands of followers. So can you tell everyone just who's tuning in right now, maybe like a little sneak peek at what we can look forward to on your Instagram feeds, and maybe tell us where we can find you on Instagram as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll answer that in reverse.
Okay.
my Instagram handle is Dear Divorce Lawyer. And on that page, you can find lots of tips and tricks about questions you might have about family law, and a few little bits and pieces to help kind of, give a broad, answers to things that might be happening, or things that you think your friends might be dealing with, you might want to get an answer about. That's the kind of stuff you can find there, as well as just sort of learning about me and my day-to-day work life and what it's like to be a family lawyer. For me, there's not a week that goes by that you don't come across something that's a little bit unusual, a slight curveball. And so that's the kind of things that I like to answer and put forward in my Instagram page, so that, there's something there for people to kind of latch onto and have a think about as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, well, for everybody who's tuning in there, and if you just missed it just a little bit there, you can follow Rob at Dear Divorce Lawyer on Instagram. So hit him up. Let's see his social meltdown after this. And look, for everyone in the TLC tribe who's watched this interview today with Robert, thank you so much for your time, Robert. It's always amazing to talk to you. And, if you want to experience success like Robert has through his coaching, get in touch with us at thelifecoachingco.com.au. Shoot us a question, your inquiry. We're always happy to hear from you. And of course, you can find us on Instagram at The Life Coaching Co as well. So until next time, thank you again, Robert. Thank you everyone who's tuned in. And remember, master your mindset, secure your success.